Jake, we're in the future. We made it.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Titanium here. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the Filmation's Ghostbusters Ghost Buggy. And we're going to go through this, all the different modes that it does. I'm going to convert it to the modes. It does sort of transform as a transforming car. It is a really cool car. It matches the cartoon very well, very accurately. And we're going to compare it to Ecto 1. And we're going to compare it, just kind of take a quick look at these again, because I have mine complete. They're all complete now. It's taken a while, and this is one of those rights or wrongs kind of video, but I also said in the main video that I'll do a special separate one on him when I get all the parts, so that we can actually take a good look at it and do everything it's supposed to do. And so we're going to do that in today's video, and I've got other big toy lines coming when the time is right. I like doing the entire collection videos. Those are fun. More of those to come, but right now we're righting a wrong with this Filmation Ghostbusters Ghost Buggy coming up. So first of all, I want to compare it to the flagship vehicle of the other Ghostbusters line. There was a real Ghostbusters from Kenner, and this is Schaper making this one here for the Ghostbusters, the Filmation version. So with this, as you can see, this is a whole different ball game that they're going for. More or less, it was originated in the movie and then carried over to the cartoon, and then this over here was purely from the cartoon, purely fantasy based, more reality based. But this seats 3, maybe you can get away with 4 figures in this. You can only really seat 2 in here, or 2 and then cram 2 in the back to lay down or something, and 1 in this goofy seat up here. But with it, I really think that this is much cooler, much more fun, and has a lot more features than this. But size-wise, they're about the same length, and they're about the same size, except this is much taller, and it's going for a much different look. This car itself, it looks like an old Ford Model T, Model A. My wife said it looks like Mickey Mouse's car when she first saw it, and she might be right. This is a pretty cool vehicle. It does look good. You don't see anything with this kind of styling this day and age. Now, it does have some interesting color variant to it. It's got a red part here. This is pink, and then you have red trim here, which is kind of a red line kind of thing. And then these are rubber tires, but you have some clear spokes. Interesting stuff they have going on right here. You have a horn and a separate black piece that clips onto the horn. I believe, I've seen some pictures, that there are stickers that are supposed to go in here. Mine did not come with that, but it's supposed to have like a black circular sticker that goes inside there. We do have non-working headlights, but there's some clear in it. And then we have this front piece, which we'll see in just a little bit when we do some conversion, but it comes off and we have this thing here. And so, yeah, mine's not the greatest condition. I tried to get the cheapest one I could, but it wasn't cheap. And then there's a hood ornament, which I've seen people refer to it as a special type of a ghost gun, but ghost gun, ghost zapper, ghost friend maker? No, I don't know. And then pretty much everything is mirrored on this side. And a couple of other things. It does have this windshield, but it's empty. It just kind of looks. It doesn't really do anything. And then we have this engines. These are some rear thruster engines on the back there. And we have some antenna, which I don't know what they're needing the antenna so they can call home. What do we need 2 for? I don't know. But just some openings on the back. So a lot of cool features, a little bit of paint apps on the back here. This thing, we're going to open it up later and show that it does carry the submarine piece in there. So we're going to take a look at all of these fun features. So the first thing we want to do is get into this airplane mode. So when you lift this up, you're going to see that these just kind of drop down. Now, we have to lift them up, and to get the wings out, it is a bit of a challenge. There are a couple of things going on with this. The wings actually tab in, so the lower wing has a tab in that you have to untab it. And I got to do all this stuff to be very careful not to break it. When I found the best way to get the wings out, which is, it's crazy, with not popping it off, is to actually pull all these wheels out, and it's making a mess. And then you do this little number here, which I would be afraid, but it's kind of like that, you know, it's kind of funny where it goes up like this and then things can go underneath it. Now you fold the wings around, there's a tab in here and a slot, and it tabs into place like that. And then the same thing on the other side. And then you have to kind of bring all this back up and over. And it is a little scary. I've done it a few times. Then you have these tabs here that will notch in. But we're not going to notch it into the middle one. There's 3 notches, and there's a reason why you notch it in to different ones. So we're going to come around to the other side, do the same thing. So next thing you do is you pull this out and put this right here. And they do sell repro stickers. I probably should get some repro stickers to put on this to make the mouth look a little bit better. This is airplane mode. Now, the reason that it's sitting like this is because this is sort of a takeoff mode. So you can have a takeoff mode and the wheels roll. So this thing does roll, and you've got it in sort of a takeoff flight mode. That is kind of cool. There's a lot of options you can do with this. Oh, also I forgot on the back here, you do the same thing with this back wing. Arrgh. See, I'm scared to untab it. I am actually scared to untab that thing. There it goes. I used a tool and I did it off camera so I don't break it. But you could break some of this stuff, and I'll show that here in a bit. So there's the back wing to it, and so there it is in its flight mode, and it's taken off. And we can back this up and you can see it kind of in better form and in its flight mode. Now then, if you want to, you can do several things with it in this flight mode. You can move this piece here and you can flatten it out a little bit more, and I'm just going to do that off camera and then come back and look at it. Okay, now we got it in the straight up mode, and you could just have it flying across like this. So in your mind, as a kid, you're rolling this along, but you're saying, hey, it's in the air flying. That's the thought process, I believe, from the information that I've seen on this thing. But if I was a kid, I'd actually want it to look a little bit more like this. Now, this makes a little more sense to me. Collapse it all the way down and then kind of fold those down as if the wheels are thrusters or something like that. This is actually the beginning of the submarine mode. In the submarine mode, which we'll go to next, you are to fold the wings all back up and then pull this off and you put on something else. So we're going to do all that here in just a bit. I'm going to do most of it off camera, and I'll just get it back to submarine mode, get these tucked in, and get it pretty close ready for submarine mode. But I would think this would be the best flight mode, even though when you pick it up, you're going to have to hold these in. So as a toy, it's got so many options, but then so many chances that you can break this thing. And we will get into the breakage points. Okay, so kind of going back, I want to show this. It is interesting, the engineering behind this, because it is a bit of a transformer in a way, but there's a tab here and a notch there, and then you just tab it in. Same thing down here. There's the same type of tab and notch going on right there. And then we're just gonna pull this back up over and then bring it down. So I thought that's kind of interesting. Would have been nice if there was a way that these locked in place when they're down. So that I mean, it's one more piece that has to get made in the manufacturing process, but it would have been nice. Now, when you fold these under, it actually, you feels like you could break it, but I've never broken it with messing with these, and so that's a pretty strong mechanism they put into place in there. Now, one other thing, and we're going to get to it now, this, and I'm going to remove this piece here, which is why that's coming off there, but remove this to get this, and I guess I'll remove this too, to get this off. This is another point of contention, is trying to open this back piece to get this out. But the trunk, yeah, I might do that off camera too, just to be super careful. But trunk's gonna come down. All right, so I got it. You do need to push sort of in on these, but I just wiggle them until it gives. Then this comes out and you have this piece for the submarine mode, and then you push this back up. Now, I won't be putting the submarine back in there. I'm just too scared trying to get these out, but even putting it back in is a bit of a challenge. And over the years, these have warped, gotten a little bit more brittle and that kind of stuff, so that makes it more and more of a challenge for all these pieces and parts, and it's a little scary. But I wonder if kids, like right out the box, were breaking them day one, or if it was something over the years, maybe the way it was stored and just tossed and then of course got brittle. Okay, we remove this and then we put this guy here and clips in like on this. Here it is in the submarine mode, and I feel like this piece here, in my opinion, is just completely unnecessary. The fact, I don't see why the other piece on the other side wouldn't have been fine, but I guess the more you include with it, the more you can charge for this. I guess that's how they look at it. But anyway, it does look kind of cool, and this is kind of one of my favorite ways to display would be with the wheels down like this. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the hover conversion of the DeLorean and that kind of thing going on there. And yeah, kind of cool. But I really feel like this piece is so unnecessary for the vehicle, but they decided to put it anyway. Okay, so it interacts with the figures okay. You can fit 2 figures in. You can probably get like Jessica in here also sitting right next to it with, I don't know if that's a thing that was going on. Normally you just saw them set up in exactly this configuration in the show. Now, I do want to say that there is a steering wheel, but you can't really hold it or do anything with it. And Tracy always seems to drive, from what I've seen in the show. I haven't watched the whole series or anything. I just watched a few. And you can't get him in there very well with his backpack on. In fact, you can't get him in there very well, hardly at all. He's looking over the windshield. Now, this guy fits pretty well. He's actually too small for it. And then the guy in the back here, so Jake's a little bit too small. And then here he is. He fits with his backpack fine. But it does have good interaction with the figures because they fit, but it takes a little bit of work. I couldn't imagine being a kid and constantly in and out, in and out, in and out of this thing. I would see a lot of breakage. I actually can see why so many of these are broken, and then that's why we're going to get into all the breakage points. So a lot of things break on this, and people talk about this breaking, but it's generally those just get lost. But everything red and pink seem to break the most. I don't really see like a lot of broken yellow pieces, so the yellow parts on it seem to be okay. Tires, I've seen them a little warped, and wheels. You know, the funny thing is they always look dirty, but a little bit of degreaser will clean those bad boys up really good. And then over here, other breakage points, all these little tabs underneath, and I'm going to pull him out because he's going to fall. But underneath this, all of these little tabs, or these little connector points, right here, right down here, right here on the back piece, on the trunk, all of those break very easily on this thing. And oddly enough, I just don't see this stuff here broken. And when messing with it, you'd think that's what would break first. But I don't see that a lot. But then again, there's not very many of these around, so there's not very many examples. On this here, this down top piece, that does like to break, so it doesn't sit in place right all the time. So lots of broken pieces, lots of opportunity to break this thing, but it still looks really cool in all of its modes. I also want to show that this will fit in the Ghost House. Now, the Ghost House is a very rare, expensive playset. If you have to say that the main vehicle is really hard to find, complete, and unbroken, then the playset itself, that it's a fraction of those that get produced versus the main vehicle. So that's ultra rare. And all right, so this has been my look at the Filmation Ghostbusters Ghost Buggy. I want to say that I think it's a really cool vehicle. I think it's a really fragile vehicle. I think it's gotten to be too expensive, but it's still a fun one. And every time I mess with it, I'm terrified I'm going to break it. But you know what? I think it's that consciousness that keeps me from breaking it. Knowing that it's fragile, knowing there's a lot of broken ones out there, keeps me from breaking it. But is this something you knew about? Is this something that was on your radar? Is this something that you've never seen before and it's just kind of cool to check it out? Or is this something that you have known about for a long time? Because I've only known about it for a few years and it's taken me that long to try to complete it. But I think it's kind of cool, and this whole toy line is cool. And the other thing I like about it is that it's small. It's finite. There's not too much to it. And with that, it can be completed in a reasonable amount of time for a somewhat reasonable budget. But other toy lines just go on forever like G.I. Joe. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, Peter Hanger out.
We made it! But look, everything's stopped. They're after that gal!
Right! That'll be a big help!
Congratulations, partners! I think we just busted our first ghost!